Usually when we talk about finding your purpose or dealing with hard times, we look for a step-by-step guide.
Right, like a simple list.
Exactly. We want 5 easy rules. We expect the answers to be neat and clean.
We want a map that shows us exactly where to go. It feels safe. If we just follow the map, nothing bad will happen.
Yeah, but then you pick up a book like the one we are looking at today, and suddenly all those simple lists they feel very small.
Almost silly, honestly.
Yeah, silly. We are looking at a space that is much darker, much deeper, and honestly, much more real.
Welcome to today's deep dive into the source material. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, but I am really deeply moved by what we are covering. Today, we are exploring Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. And we need to start with an impossible fact.
The 9 days.
Yes, he wrote this entire book in just 9 days.
That fact is always shocking to me. It really gives you the true context of this work.
It does.
To give you some factual grounding, Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist from Austria, and during World War II, he was taken by the Nazis.
Right.
He was placed in concentration camps, including Auschwitz. He survived this unimaginable horror, and in 1945, right after he was freed, he sat down and wrote this book in 9 days.
Let's stop and really think about this for a moment. Treating this with the heavy respect it deserves.
Absolutely.
9 days. It is 1945. World War II has just ended. This man has just walked out of a death camp. He has survived the absolute worst conditions in human history.
He is starving. His body is weak.
Yes, he has lost his home, his career, his life's work, and worst of all, he has lost his family.
His wife, his parents, his brother.
They're gone.
He is completely alone in a destroyed world. Most people in his situation would simply collapse.
I know I would.
Right. They would go to a hospital, they would sleep for a month, their spirit would be completely broken.
But he does not do that. As soon as he is free, he finds paper and a pen, and he starts writing.
He doesn't stop.
No. For 9 days, he writes and writes. The ideas are just pouring out of him. It is like a fire inside him. He has to get this message out to the world. It is an urgent human testimony.
That is the perfect word, a testimony. It was not a slow, careful academic project.
Not at all.
It was an urgent message for humanity. And that urgency is why it has sold over 16 million copies. It is considered one of the top 10 most influential books in the United States.
And I think it works so much better than simple motivation.
How do you mean?
Well, if a rich person in a big, warm house tells me, hey, just find your purpose and be happy, I might roll my eyes.
Oh, for sure.
I might say, you do not know my life. You do not know my problems. But when a man who survived Auschwitz tells me you must find your purpose, I listen.
You have to listen.
I have to. He was tested by the worst fire a human being can go through.
He earned the right to speak. He paid the highest price for his knowledge. And his central thesis, the core premise of his message, is very clear.
It's based on that famous quote, right?
Yeah. Yes. He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow.
A why to live for can bear almost anyhow. Let's break that down into simple words for everyone.
Good idea.
The how is your current situation. It is how you are living right now.
Like the daily reality.
Exactly. Maybe your how is very painful. Maybe you were sick. Maybe you lost your job. The how is the heavy weight on your shoulders.
Yes. And the why is your reason for living. It is your deep meaning.
Right.
Frankl says that if your why is strong enough, your mind can survive almost any terrible how. If you know why you are breathing, you can handle the pain of taking the next breath.
Which brings us to the extreme conditions of the camps, and to Frankl's most surprising psychological discovery.
The discovery about human freedom.
Yes, because in the camps, the prisoners were stripped of absolutely everything.
And we mean everything. They took away their names. The prisoners were just numbers.
Just numbers.
They took their clothes, their hair, their belongings, their families, and their futures. Everything that makes you feel like a human being, everything that makes you feel like you, was completely destroyed.
So if you take away all of a person's choices, what is left?
Nothing physical, that's for sure.
Right. You cannot choose what to eat. You cannot choose where to walk. You cannot choose when to sleep. But Frankl noticed something incredible.
He saw that one thing could never be taken away.
He called it the last human freedom.
The last human freedom. It is the freedom to choose your attitude toward your circumstances.
Even when you have nothing.
Even when you are trapped in a cold room, you still have this one final choice, your attitude.
He describes this using a very famous idea. He says, between stimulus and reaction, there's a space. In that space is our freedom and our growth.
That space is everything.
Let's look at those words for a second. Stimulus is just something that happens to you. It is the outside world. Somebody yells at you, your car breaks down, it rains on your wedding day. That is the stimulus.
And the reaction is what you do. You yell back, you cry, you give up.
Usually we think stimulus and reaction are connected immediately.
Like an automatic reflex.
Yeah, like touching a hot stove. You touch the hot metal and you pull your hand away in 1 second. You do not think.
But Frankl says there is a space between them.
I like to think about it like catching a baseball.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, usually a ball is thrown at you and you just react. You put your hands up. But imagine if time suddenly slows down. The ball is in the air. It is moving very, very slowly.
Like in a movie.
Exactly, like in a slow-motion movie. You have a full minute to decide, do I catch this? Do I step to the left? Do I let it hit me? That slow-motion time, that pause, that is the space Frankl is talking about.
I love that analogy.
In that space, inside your own mind, you choose your attitude.
That slow motion space is where we find our true power. And in the camps, Frankl saw this space in action every single day.
How so?
Well, the source material gives specific physical examples of this. You might guess that the people who survived the camps were the biggest, strongest men.
Right.
The ones with the most muscles. The ones who had the most body fat before the war.
That is what I would think, for sure. Survival of the physically fittest.
But Frankl says that was not always true. In fact, he noticed that some of the physically strongest people gave up very quickly.
Really?
Yes. The physical strength did not matter as much as the inner strength. The people who survived were the ones who kept an inner meaning. They kept their why.
They held on to something inside that space.
Exactly.
The book mentions that some people were staying alive because they were waiting for a loved one. They told themselves, I have to see my daughter again. I cannot die because she needs me.
Yes, or some wanted to finish writing a book. Some felt they had a message to share with the world.
Frankl himself is the perfect example of this.
He really is. Before the war, he was writing a book on psychology. He had the paper manuscript with him when he arrived at the camp.
The actual paper.
Yes. And of course, the guards took it from him and destroyed it.
So what did he do? He rewrote it in his head.
Every single day.
While he was doing terrible, freezing work, digging in the hard dirt with bleeding hands. He was writing this book in his mind.
He was remembering the words. He was fixing the sentences.
He found tiny pieces of scrap paper and wrote keywords to help him remember. That invisible book became his anchor. It kept his mind tied to the future.
And he noticed the tragedy of the opposite situation. Those who lost this inner meaning, they faded away very quickly.
How fast?
Very fast. Frankl describes a specific pattern. A prisoner would wake up one morning and simply refuse to get dressed.
Oh, no.
They would refuse to walk outside. They would just lie in the dirt. No beating, no threats from the guards could make them move. They had lost their why.
And once they lost their why, their bodies just gave up.
They would die shortly after.
Wait, I have to jump in here. I struggle with this. I really do.
What part?
Well, if we say you can always choose your attitude, isn't that a little dangerous?
It can be misunderstood, yes.
Think about someone going through deep clinical depression today, or someone with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Their brain chemistry is literally fighting against them. Their nervous system is broken.
Right.
If we tell them, hey, just choose a better attitude, aren't we just blaming them? It sounds dangerously close to toxic positivity.
Like it's their fault.
Yeah. Like we were saying, if you are sad, it is your own fault because you chose the wrong attitude.
That is the most important critique of this idea. We have to be very careful here. If a random life coach on the internet says, just choose your attitude and smile, it is absolutely toxic positivity.
Right.
But we have to remember who is speaking here. Frankl is not sitting in a comfortable, sunny office telling sad people to smile.
No. He is standing in the freezing snow without shoes.
Exactly. And more importantly, Frankl does not say choosing your attitude is easy.
Okay, that is a big difference.
He knows it is incredibly painful. He knows it takes massive effort. He says it is possible. There is a huge difference between easy and possible.
I see.
Frankl is also the first person to admit that not everyone survives. Many wonderful, strong, beautiful people died in the camps. He does not blame those who did not make it.
So he is not saying it is a magic trick that saves your life every time.
No, he is not. But he observed that the only way to even try to survive the darkness was to find that tiny space of choice. It is not about being happy.
It's not about pretending the pain does not exist.
Right. It is about holding on to your human dignity when the world tries to take it away.
Holding on to your human dignity. It is saying, you can break my body, you can take my food, but you cannot decide who I am inside.
Yes, you retain the power over your inner self, even when everything on the outside is controlled by a guard.
So, to you listening right now, next time you're having a terrible day or when something is taken from you, think about this. Have you ever had a time in your life when you lost a job you loved, or a long relationship ended badly?
Think back to that dark moment.
What was the inner thought that helped you hold on? What was your anchor? Was it a person? A stubborn feeling of not wanting to give up? Think about your own space between the bad event and how you reacted.
Now, if finding meaning is what kept Frankl alive, the logical question is, how do we actually do that without just lying to ourselves?
Right. Where did this meaning come from?
Because if I need a why to survive my how, you better tell me how to find this why.
I need instructions.
That exact question led Frankl to develop a new approach to psychology. He called it logotherapy.
Let's break that word down for everyone.
That's
Logos is an old Greek word. It can mean many things, but here it means meaning.
yes.
So logotherapy is basically therapy based purely on finding meaning in your life.
Traditional therapy at that time often focused on looking backward.
Yeah.
It focused on looking at your childhood or looking at your hidden secret desires.
Like Freud.
Exactly like Freud. But Frankl said, no, let us look forward. Let us look at your meaning. And he had a very strict rule.
What was the rule?
Meaning cannot be invented. It cannot be created out of thin air. It can only be found.
So it is not about making something up just to feel better.
Think about it like an old car radio.
Okay?
You are driving in the dark. You reach out and turn the dial. At first, you only hear static noise, just scratching sounds. You do not invent music. You cannot just sit in the car and pretend there is music.
Right, you just be sitting in silence.
You just keep turning the dial very slowly. Then suddenly the static stops. You hear a clear voice. You hear a beautiful song. You did not create that song. It was already in the air all around you.
You just had to tune your personal radio to the exact right frequency to find it.
That is logotherapy.
That makes perfect sense. The music is already there. You just have to tune into it. And because you are the one turning the dial, the station you find is highly personal.
Completely personal.
I cannot give you my meaning. You cannot give me yours. No one can tell you what your meaning is. You have to find your own frequency.
Frankl mapped out 3 specific frequencies. 3 places where we can turn the dial and find this meaning. 3 paths.
Let's walk down these 3 paths slowly, because this is really the core of how to use the book. Path number 1, work and creation.
Yes. This means making something that lasts.
Doing a deed or creating a work. The source material gives several examples. It could be writing a book, like Frankl did.
It could be raising a child, which requires a massive amount of creation, patience, and dedication.
Definitely. It could be building a small business in your town, or even learning a new skill.
Learning a new skill is a great example.
Let's talk about learning a language, because that is something many people listening might be doing right now.
It fits perfectly.
Learning a new language is hard. It takes months, maybe years. It can be very frustrating. You make mistakes. You feel stupid when you forget a simple word.
Oh, I know that feeling.
But why do we do it? Because it connects us to a whole new world of people. We are building a bridge to another culture. That bridge is a creation.
Yes, the bridge is the work.
When you spend 2 hours studying grammar on a Tuesday night, you are finding meaning in the work of creating a better, more connected version of yourself. It is not just doing boring homework. It is an act of creation.
The effort itself gives you meaning because of what it builds. Now, the second path to meaning is very different.
What is path 2?
It is love and experience. This is about deeply feeling something or deeply connecting with someone.
I love this one. It is a relief, honestly.
Why is it a relief?
It means you do not always have to do work to find meaning. You do not always have to produce something or build a bridge. Sometimes you just have to experience the world.
Frankl gives a stunning example of watching a sunset. Imagine the scene. The prisoners are in the camp. Everything is gray.
The mud is gray.
The uniforms are gray. The sky is gray. The environment is built to be ugly. It is built to break their spirits.
And then one evening, someone points to the sky.
Yes.
And through the gray clouds, the sun is going down. The light turns pink and orange and deep purple. It is a massive explosion of color.
And for a few minutes, the prisoners stop. They look up. They are freezing. They are hungry. They are in danger from the guards. But they are looking at the sky.
They forget the camp for a second.
Frankl writes that in that exact second, he feels a deep sense of awe. If someone asked him in that moment, "Is your life worth living?" he would say yes, just to see this light.
Just to experience the beauty. And the biggest part of this second path is love. Loving someone and being loved.
Frankl's own story here is heartbreaking, but it explains how the mind works.
In the freezing cold of the camp, digging in the hard dirt, he held on to the image of his wife.
He didn't even know she was alive.
He did not know if she was alive or dead. But he talked to her in his mind. He saw her smile. He heard her answer him.
When Frankl focused on his wife, he was not just daydreaming. Biologically and psychologically, he was creating an external anchor.
An anchor.
By putting his intense focus outside of his own physical pain and putting it on the love he felt for her, he denied the camp the ability to dictate his internal reality. He wrote that in those moments, the thought of his wife was more real to him than the physical walls around him. Love protected his nervous system.
Which brings us to the third path. And this is the hardest one.
Yes.
The first two are beautiful, creating a bridge, watching a sunset, loving your partner. But the third place to find meaning is your attitude toward unavoidable suffering.
This is when you cannot change a terrible situation. The situation is fixed, the disease is terminal, the loss has already happened.
You cannot fix the outside world.
So the only thing left to change is your attitude toward it.
Wait, I have to challenge this again. This is where the book makes me nervous.
Okay, let's hear it.
Doesn't finding meaning in suffering sound like a really convenient excuse for bad things? I worry about this.
Like an excuse for bad behavior.
Yes. If someone is suffering because they have a terrible boss, or they are in an abusive relationship, or they live under an unfair government system, and we say, hey, go find meaning in your suffering, aren't we just telling them to accept bad treatment?
You're saying we're telling them to just take it.
Exactly. Sometimes pain is just pain. Sometimes a bad boss is just a bad boss.
You are absolutely right to point that out. If we misunderstand this, logotherapy becomes a tool for abuse.
And we don't want that.
So let us look closely at Frankl's exact words in the text. Frankl never said that suffering is a good thing. He never said you should go looking for it.
So he does not want us to be martyrs.
Not at all. He is very practical. If you can fix the problem, you must fix it.
Okay, that's good.
If you can leave the bad job, you leave it. If you can walk away from the abusive person, you walk away. To suffer unnecessarily is not meaningful. It's just foolish.
Right.
But, and this is the key word, Frankl is talking strictly about unavoidable suffering.
Unavoidable. Meaning there is absolutely no escape door. The door is locked.
Yes. When you are faced with a fate you cannot change, a chronic illness that has no cure, the death of a family member, you cannot fix those things.
No, you can't.
In that specific situation, when life pushes you into a corner, you still have a choice in how you stand up to it. Finding meaning there is an act of pure defiance.
Defiance. I like that word.
It is an act of refusing to let the pain completely destroy your human spirit. It is saying, I am stronger than the pain.
I am stronger than the pain. It is not an excuse for the bad thing. It is a shield you use to protect your mind when the bad thing happens.
It is how you protect your soul when your life is under attack.
Because unavoidable suffering is one of these three paths, this brings us to a major shift in how we think. We have to completely change how we view suffering in our modern everyday lives.
We do, because the modern world has a very specific, very strict view on suffering. We hate it. We want to delete it instantly.
Our culture treats suffering like an error code on a computer screen.
That's a great way to put it.
If you feel sad, if you feel lost, if you are struggling with a hard choice, society says, error, something is broken. Fix it right now.
Take a pill, buy a new phone, go on a vacation, watch 5 hours of television.
Right. Just make the bad feelings stop.
We are terrified of negative emotions. But Frankl highlights an uncomfortable idea for modern psychology, he says. Suffering is a normal part of human life. It is not an error code. It is not a symptom you must delete.
He gives us a formula to understand it. Here is the formula in simple words. Suffering without meaning is just pain.
It leads to dark despair.
But suffering with meaning is human dignity in action.
To understand this, he uses a term called the existential vacuum.
Let's explain what that means naturally. A vacuum is an empty space. It is a place where there is no air, no matter, nothing at all.
Like an outer space.
Exactly. So an existential vacuum means your existence, your daily life, feels completely empty inside.
After World War II, Frankl returned to his work as a psychiatrist in Europe. The war was over, society was rebuilding. He started noticing a new problem in his patients.
What was that?
These people finally had food on the table, they had warm beds, they had safety from bombs, but instead of being happy and grateful, they felt terrible. They felt totally empty. They felt there was no reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Wow. During the war, they had a very clear goal. The goal was simple. Survive the day, find food, stay alive.
The physical survival instinct was keeping them busy.
But once survival was guaranteed, they looked around their safe houses and said, now what? What is the point of all this?
Their physical survival instinct was satisfied, but their mind was starving for meaning.
He introduces another concept here called neugenic neurosis.
It sounds like complex medical jargon, but it really just points to a sickness of meaning rather than a sickness of the brain.
Let's break that down. Neurosis means emotional distress. And neugenic comes from the word for mind or meaning.
Right. So you feel terrible, you feel anxious, you cannot sleep, but it is not because your brain chemistry is broken. It is not because you had a terrible childhood trauma.
It is simply because your life lacks a why.
It is an existential crisis. It is a sickness of the soul, not a medical disease.
If a patient came to Frankl feeling this deep emptiness, he would not necessarily prescribe a chemical medicine.
Because treating a lack of meaning with a sleeping pill does not solve the root problem.
He would talk to them. He would help them turn the radio dial to find their meaning.
And the source material gives a perfect, everyday example of this empty feeling. It is a concept he calls Sunday depression.
When I read this part of the book, I felt it right in my chest. I think everyone knows this feeling.
Let us walk through how this works over a normal weekend. Walk us through the timeline. What does it look like?
Okay, let's start on Friday. Friday afternoon, you finish your job, you close your laptop, you feel a big rush of energy, you say, great, the weekend is here.
Are you excited?
Friday night, you are busy, maybe you watch a movie, you order a pizza, you are actively relaxing from the stress of the week.
Your mind is still running on the momentum of the work week.
Right. Then Saturday comes, you sleep late, you get up, you do your chores, you go to the supermarket, you clean the kitchen, you do laundry.
Still busy.
You are still busy. Your hands are moving. Your mind is still working on small, necessary tasks. Think of it like running on a treadmill. Monday through Friday, the treadmill's going very fast. On Saturday, the treadmill's going slower. But you are still walking.
You are distracted by the mechanics of living.
Yes. But then Sunday morning arrives. You wake up. The house is clean. There is food in the fridge. You have no emails to answer. You have no meetings to attend.
Everything is done.
You sit on the sofa with a cup of coffee. The house is totally quiet, and the treadmill stops.
The machine is turned off.
The machine is off, and suddenly, in the quiet, a heavy feeling drops into your stomach. It is dark. It is uncomfortable. You feel completely empty.
You look out the window and think, is this it? Is this my whole life? What is the point of all this?
You actually feel much worse on this quiet, safe Sunday morning than you did on a crazy, stressful Tuesday afternoon.
Because the noise of Tuesday was hiding the emptiness.
When the noise stops, the silence is terrifying. That is the Sunday depression.
That physical description of the treadmill stopping is exactly what Frankl observed. When external demands stop, you are left alone with your internal world.
And if your internal world is empty.
Exactly. If it is an existential vacuum, if it is empty, that is when the pain hits you the hardest. People try to run away from the Sunday depression by scrolling on their phones for hours, or drinking alcohol, or finding more chores to do. Anything to start the treadmill again.
This makes me wonder something about the big picture. We are talking about post-war Europe and modern people having Sunday depression. Is this feeling of emptiness only a problem for safe, comfortable societies?
Like, do you have to be comfortable to have an existential crisis?
Right. Like, do you have to secure food and shelter before you worry about your higher purpose? Is it a rich person problem?
That is a very common debate in psychology. Some people argue that worrying about meaning is a luxury. If you are starving, your meaning is finding a piece of bread. You do not have time to sit on a sofa and worry about philosophy.
That makes logical sense to me.
But Frankl's own life experience destroys that argument completely.
How?
He was in Auschwitz. He was literally starving to death. He was freezing. He was at the absolute bottom of human survival. And yet he discovered that meaning was essential for survival, even there.
Even there.
He proves that the search for meaning is not a luxury for the comfortable. It is a fundamental human drive for everyone, everywhere.
Wow. The poorest person in the hardest situation still needs a why, just as much as the person sitting in a quiet house feeling empty on a Sunday. It is a universal human need.
It spans all societies. It is what makes us human.
Okay, we have covered some heavy theory here. We talked about freedom, meaning, suffering, and existential vacuums. But theory is only good if we can use it.
We need practical application.
Exactly. How do we take a book written about the absolute extremes of human survival and use it on a normal Tuesday? We need tools for everyday life.
We can extract 4 specific tools from Frankl's logotherapy. Let us explain the mechanics of each one simply.
Let's start with tool number 1.
Tool 1 is changing the question. This is about flipping the script in your mind.
Flipping the script.
Yes, when things go bad, you get sick, your project fails, you are stuck in terrible traffic. Our natural human reaction is to ask, why is this happening to me?
Oh, I do that all the time. Why me? Why today? What did I do to deserve this?
We all do it. But logotherapy points out that asking why me makes you a victim. It makes you completely passive. You view yourself as a target that the universe is hitting.
So what do we do instead?
To use this tool, you must change the question. Instead of why me, ask what for, or why do I need to experience this?
What for? Let's look at a simple example. Say I am stuck in a huge traffic jam. I am going to be late for an important meeting.
A classic stressful situation.
If I hit the steering wheel and yell, why me? I'm just angry, my blood pressure goes up. But if I take a breath and ask what for, what does that actually do?
It changes you from a victim into an active player. What for? Forces your brain to find a purpose. Maybe this traffic jam is here to teach you patience. Maybe it is giving you 30 quiet minutes to listen to an audiobook. Maybe it is just a test of your ability to stay calm under pressure. Suddenly, the frustrating event is a task you have to complete, not a punishment.
I love that. It takes the power back. What is the second tool?
Tool 2 is a specific technique Frankl invented. He called it paradoxical intention.
Let's explain those words because they're a bit big. Paradoxical means doing the exact opposite of what seems normal. Intention means your plan. So your plan is to do the opposite of what your fear wants you to do.
Exactly. The mechanism is simple but profound. If you are afraid of something, deliberately wish for it to happen.
This is something I really want to talk about. I actually tried this after reading the source material.
You tried paradoxical intention. How did you apply it?
Well, I get very nervous when I have to speak in public. Sometimes I have to stand up in front of 20 people at work, and I get this fear. I worry that I'm going to sweat.
A very common physical reaction to anxiety.
Yes. But here is the problem. I stand there and I think, oh no, please do not sweat. Please stay cool. Do not let them see you sweat. And of course, the more I worry about sweating, the hotter I feel.
Because you're stressing about it.
My heart beats faster. And then it happens. I start sweating, which makes me more nervous. It is a terrible circle.
Your fear of the symptom actually creates the symptom.
Exactly. So I decided to try Frankl's tool. Before my last meeting, I stood in the hallway. I felt the heat rising. I felt the panic starting. But instead of saying, please do not sweat, I completely flipped the script. I did the opposite.
What'd you say?
I said to myself, I am going to sweat. I'm going to sweat more than any human being in history. I'm going to show these 20 people an ocean of sweat. I want to sweat through my shirt and make a pool of water on the floor. Let's go.
And what was the result of inviting the fear in?
I almost started laughing. Inside my head, it was so ridiculous. I invited the fear in. I told the monster, come inside, let's have a party. And the monster just disappeared.
It lost its power.
I walked into the room. I was completely dry. I was calm. The fear popped like a soap bubble.
That is the perfect application. Frankl understood that fear grows when you run away from it. The more you fight the anxiety, the stronger it gets. But if you turn around, face the fear, describe it, and even invite it in, the fear loses its power over you.
Another great example is sleep. If you have insomnia and you lie in bed thinking, I must sleep, you will stay awake all night.
Because you are stressing about sleeping.
But if you use paradoxical intention and say, I'm going to stay awake as long as possible, I will keep my eyes open all night, your brain relaxes, and you usually fall asleep in 10 minutes.
It is a brilliant tool.
What is the third one?
Tool 3 is the daily check-in. This is a practical habit to build your awareness of meaning. We talked about the 3 paths to finding meaning: work creation, love experience, and attitude toward suffering.
Right, the 3 paths.
The tool is simply this. Every night before you go to sleep, look back at your day and scan it for those 3 things.
Ask yourself specific questions.
Yes. Ask, did I find meaning today in creating something? Did I find meaning in deeply experiencing something beautiful or connecting with someone I love? Or, if it was a terrible day, Did I find meaning in accepting a difficult situation with dignity?
That completely changes how you judge a good day.
How so?
A good day isn't just a day where you made money, or bought a new pair of shoes, or had fun. A good day is a day where you found meaning in one of those three places. Even a painful day can be a successful day if you handled it well.
It trains your brain to see the meaning that is already around you.
And the final tool?
Tool 4 is the letter to the future self. We know Frankl survived partly by imagining his future. He imagined standing in a warm, well-lit lecture hall, teaching students about the psychology of the
And
camps.
picture the lights, the faces of the students.
That vivid future image pulled him forward through the snow.
So we could use that mental time travel, too. Sit down and write a letter to yourself 5 years in the future. What do you want to tell them? What future are you trying to build?
When you make the future clear and real in your mind, it gives you a strong reason to fight through the present.
It creates a bridge between your current how and your future why.
Exactly.
These tools are fantastic. But to be deeply analytical, we must take a fair and honest look at the limitations of the book. A true deep dive requires us to see the limits of the source material. No book is perfect, not even a masterpiece written by a genius.
Let us start with the most obvious challenge for modern readers, the distance.
The distance, yes.
Yeah.
Because this book is written from the absolute extreme limit of human experience. It creates a huge gap between the author and the reader.
It's hard to relate to.
Very. I sit in my comfortable apartment, I have heating, I have a full fridge. I read a book by a man who survived Auschwitz. The horror he describes is so big, so extreme, it is hard to connect it to my normal life. When my internet breaks or my boss is rude to me, I think, well, I cannot complain. I'm not in a camp.
That is a very valid critique. Frankl writes from such a high mountain of suffering that he does not always build a clear, easy bridge down to the everyday frustrations of normal life.
You have to do the work yourself.
He tells you the ultimate truth, but you have to do a lot of the mental translation yourself to apply it to a Tuesday morning at the office.
Which leads to the second limitation, the lack of specific step-by-step techniques. We just talked about 4 tools we extracted, but honestly, we had to pull those out of the text and explain the mechanics ourselves.
While logotherapy explains the principles brilliantly, it lacks a simple workbook of exercises. It says find meaning, but it does not give you a dictionary to look up your personal meaning. It provides the destination, but not always the map.
It is like a doctor telling you, to be healthy, you must eat well. Okay, that is true. But what do I buy at the grocery store? How do I cook the food? Frankl gives you the philosophy, but you have to figure out the daily recipes yourself.
Another important limitation to discuss is the science. The book was written in 1945. Modern psychology and biology have grown immensely since then.
Almost 80 years of new science.
Exactly. Frankl barely mentions neuroscience. He does not discuss the physical role of the body in mental health. Today, we know that trauma acts as a physical, biological event.
It changes the brain.
It literally rewires the nervous system. The body holds on to stress. You
Right.
cannot always just think your way out of severe trauma. You have to treat the physical body too. So if you want the full picture of human psychology, you cannot stop with Frankl. You need modern sources to fill in the biological gaps.
That is very fair. He's dealing with the mind and the spirit, but we also have physical bodies that need care. And there's one more thing we could mention impartially to give the full context.
Yes, the religious context. Frankl was a deeply religious man. His ideas about meaning, about a higher purpose, and an ultimate order to the universe rely partly on faith.
We're not saying this is a negative thing at all, but it is important to honestly state it. For readers who approach life from a strictly secular or non-religious view, some of his leaps of faith might feel a bit distant. You can absolutely use his psychological tools without being religious, but his personal framework was built on faith.
It is important context for a complete understanding of the source material.
Absolutely. Okay, we have covered so much ground today. From the dark reality of the camps to the bright colors of a sunset. From the existential vacuum to the modern Sunday depression. Let us bring this entire deep dive to a singular, powerful close.
If we synthesize everything we have discussed, we come back to the core lesson, the ultimate takeaway from Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and reaction, there is a space. In that space is our freedom.
Let that sit in your mind. You have a space. It might be tiny, it might be hard to find.
Yeah.
But no matter what happens to you tomorrow, you have a split second to choose who you are going to be in response.
And remember, meaning is not given to you by society. Meaning is not invented out of thin air. Meaning is found.
It's waiting for you.
And it is always nearby. It is waiting for you in the hard work you do. It is waiting in the people you deeply love. Or it is waiting in how you stand tall, with dignity, when you are facing a storm you cannot change.
I said at the beginning that this was not a step-by-step business book or a fun life hack. It is not a light, easy read, but it is, without a doubt, the most honest book I have ever encountered about what it really means to be a human being. It strips away all the fake noise and leaves you with the solid truth.
It provides a profound, unbreakable foundation for a meaningful life.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the source material, I want to leave you with one final thought. I want to invite you to reflect on your own life. Next time you are stuck in traffic or having a terrible Tuesday or feeling the Sunday depression creeping in, think back to the very first premise. He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow.
It is the ultimate question of our existence.
Look at your life today. To you, listening right now, what is your why right now? What is the one specific thing in your life that makes you ready to bear anyhow? Find your why.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, take care of yourselves and guard that space between your stimulus and your reaction.